everyone, and welcome back to Hope in June, a podcast for anyone walking through infertility, waiting, or a season of quiet hope. I'm Chandler, your host, and every Tuesday we meet here for a few calm moments of truth and a reminder that you are never alone in this journey. Y'all, we made it to another week, and I am so excited. Last week, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was very scared. I was very scared because I've never put my story out there in that much detail before. So that was a lot. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a very quiet, for the most part, reserved person, and I don't really express my feelings. And so for me to do that, it was funny because I had a lot of family members saying girl, who was that on that screen? Who was I listening to? Because that's so out of my comfort zone. But I wanted to do it because I wanted everyone that is experiencing something similar, or if you have experienced something, to let you know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. That happened to me back in 2018, 2019, 2020. And all these years later, I still cry about it. I still get emotional about it. And so it's okay if you still have those moments where those emotions come up. They're real, they're valid. And I have a family now, and those moments still bring tears to my eyes. So it's okay. And so I want to share that just to bring life to my story and show others that it's okay. And you don't have to be afraid to share your story. You don't have to be afraid if you have those ugly emotions, those not so pretty emotions. And you don't have to be okay all the time. It's okay to not be okay. Okay, so before we get started, you know how we do. We're going to take a deep breath together and settle in. All right, you ready? Deep breath in. All right, one more time. I need another deep breath in and out before we start today's episode. All right, ready? Deep breath in. And deep breath out. So before we get started, I do want to do a little check-in. And y'all know how we did last week. I'm gonna pause and let you answer like Dora. And I want you to share your heart with me as if I was sitting right there with you. Where have you felt the most left behind or unseen this week? And what small comfort has helped you to keep going? Okay, thank you for sharing. So for me, I'll answer this question. I have felt the most left behind this week. I would say in wanting success for this podcast and this online community and my merch line right now. I feel left behind in the way that I see other podcasts that are so successful. I see other online communities that have so many people that have subscribed. I see social media platforms and merch lines and people posting how many sales they got this today and this week and all these ads and all this. And it looks like so much success that they've reached, and they haven't been doing it for a very long time. And so I feel left behind just because I'm just getting started. But the small comfort that I have received to help me keep going is you guys. The sweet messages that I have received, whether it was a DM, a text message, a comment, y'all, I would much rather have, and while the big success and things are great, I would much rather have a slow, steady growth with people who are fully tuned in, people who are committed to the cause and what we're doing here, and people who are fully bought in and see the value of what's going on here, than having a viral moment and we have all these people and then, the hype is gone and then nobody's engaged and it's kind of turns into a flop. I would much rather have a slow, steady growth. And so your constant encouragement is what has helped me keep going. I easily could be like, yep, episode 1 was a flop. Nope. Nobody's, we only got 30 followers on the June Collective for the merch line, and it's supposed to launch in 2 weeks. Nope. I quit. I could easily be like that. But your sweet messages, comments, your shares, your likes, all of that, I see it all. And even if I have not had the opportunity to personally thank each and every one of you, this is me doing it now. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Even if you haven't experienced infertility and that's not your journey, the fact that you are sharing it with people, the fact that you are supporting it in all those different ways, y'all. It means the world. It means the world, and that gives me comfort to keep going. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I love each and every one of you. Okay, so this week's affirmation, I want you to repeat it after me. Even if the pace of my life feels different, my worth is not diminished. All right, let's say it again. Even if the pace of my life feels different, my worth is not diminished. Yay! All right, good job, you guys. Let us settle in. Okay, so thinking about the loneliness that we may feel or we may experience during that time of infertility. So maybe you just received a diagnosis. Maybe you just experienced loss. Maybe you haven't experienced loss or a diagnosis, but you keep trying and you're not getting a positive pregnancy test. And while all of this is happening, what seems like to be behind closed doors in your home, life is still happening out there. And whether you have experienced a loss or whatever the case is, you feel lonely and isolated because people are still living. They're still going to work every day. Babies are still being had. People are still getting pregnant. And it looks like everybody is moving on with their life. And you're stuck in this moment of not being able to achieve what it is that you want most. I can remember after I had my very first miscarriage, and the first pregnancy announcement that I saw after my miscarriage, I will never forget that feeling, that gut-wrenching feeling that I had, that I was like, what? Like, people are out here getting pregnant. And then it's like, in that moment, it's like your feelings are so hypersensitive. It's like, it was one pregnancy announcement after the other. I'm scrolling down my timeline, and I promise I saw like 3 or 4 pregnancy announcements, 2 or 3 baby showers, 4 or 5 gender reveals. I'm like, and like 6 or 7 births. I'm like, I can't escape this world. And it's like everybody is able to achieve this thing, and I can't. I've done things the right way. I've taken the vitamins, taken the supplements. I've been very careful, done all the things I was supposed to do. So why isn't it working? And everybody else, it just seems like, they just pop and have no issues at all. And it's easy like them for a drop of a hat. And so, of course, I feel lonely and isolated because I don't want to be the person that's a Debbie Downer. And it's like, I guess congratulations. I laugh because that's really how I felt. It's true. It's like, I want to be like, okay, I guess congratulations. Yeah, you're having a girl. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. But you don't want to be that way. You don't want to, you feel those things in your head, but you don't want to voice it. You don't want to say it. So what do? We retreat and we isolate, which causes us to feel lonely because those thoughts that we have they seem so negative to somebody that's not sitting in that seat, and it feels so ugly and raw to feel that way. But if they were sitting in our shoes, they will understand and they will probably feel the same way. And so, of course, we isolate, we retreat, and it causes us to feel lonely and we spiral. And then aside from that, infertility, it seems it's something, one, that makes you feel different. You're different from everybody else. And then the silence around it really makes you feel different because nobody's just up and posting unless, you feel led to share, or maybe you announce that you were pregnant and then now you're not. So you feel like, you need to share that you've had a loss, but nobody's out here, just always talking about their infertility, their journey, and their struggles. Now, there are some people, and I've come across a lot of pages within the last week of people that are doing that and are openly sharing their journeys. And I think that's such a beautiful thing because you should be able to do that, especially if you feel led to do so. And a lot of times that's a form of healing. Now, because you can find your people who are also going through that and they feel like, now I can connect with you. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do that because I was somebody who wasn't, that wasn't my story. That wasn't my journey. That wasn't my ministry at the time to in real time sharing what I was going through. And so, of course, the silence around infertility, if you think about everybody in the world. So in thinking about infertility as a whole, statistically, I just want to read these numbers to you guys because I don't want to mess them up. 17.8% of couples experience infertility. This is globally. In the United States, 12 to 15% of couples experience infertility. And in women, 13.4% of women aged 15 to 49 have experience infertility. So if you think about those numbers and everybody in the world that it affects, you might like the people that decide to share about it, they're in like probably the 1%. Like, it's not a lot of people who are actively sharing their journeys and what they're going through in real time. And so there's a lot of silence around that in the infertility community, which causes us to feel lonely and isolated. And so with feeling different, you don't really want to open and share what you're talking about because you don't want to feel like a downer. If somebody tells you how you're doing, or if somebody comes up to you and asks how you're doing, it's hard for you to be like, well, me and my husband, are trying to have a baby, and I took a pregnancy test this morning and it was negative. Then I'm like, okay, hope you have a good day. Like, I don't know how to respond to that. So it keeps us from sharing how we're truly feeling. Because I know for me, I felt like I had to be on all the time and just try to stuff those feelings to the side. When I stepped out the front door, I had to turn it on and leave those feelings at home because I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer. People already knew what my situation was. So in my head, I'm like, they already probably think that I'm going to come in here and have a bad attitude or be sad, be down. We supposed to be going to a birthday party, celebrating somebody. And here I go talking about my infertility issues. That's what I thought in my head. Now, that probably wasn't the case. And if somebody asked me how I was doing, they probably really did want to know how I was feeling. But in our heads, because nobody's talking about it, we feel like if we do talk about it, then we're going to be a Debbie Downer to the situation, to the conversation. And also, a lot of people don't understand or know how to respond to that, because I'll equate it to this. Whenever somebody asks me, how do you support somebody? Why is it so hard to receive support from people when you're experiencing infertility? And why do people always say horrible stuff? And a lot of times, and I always preface it by saying they mean well, they just don't know. So we all experience loss in some kind of way in this lifetime because we're not meant to stay here forever. So in that aspect, with having a loved one that passes on, we all know what that looks like. We all know what grief looks like. And so it's easier to empathize with someone. I think it's empathize. Is it empathize or sympathize? It's easier to understand what someone is going through because if you've lost your grandmother, I lost my grandmother. So I know how to relate to you and I know what to say to you because I know what I wanted to hear when I lost my grandmother. So I know how to support you and help you in the things to say to you that are appropriate when you lose yours. When you lose a child, when you lose a baby, and when you've only been, say that child was only in your body for a short period of time and was only on this time side of life for a very short period of time, or they never made it to this time side of life, or you never even got the positive test, so you're just getting those back to back. That person might not have ever experienced that, so I don't know how to support you. I don't know what to say to you. I can equate it to the loss of a grandparent, but it's not the same. And so I don't know what to say. And so because I don't know what to say, I might say something inappropriate, or I might change the subject. And so when we're having a conversation, because I react to you that way, then you think that I don't want to hear it, or I feel awkward, or I come across as awkward, or I come across like this isn't a good time, or it's not a comfortable space for you to express your feelings. So what do? You retreat. You isolate, what causes you to feel lonely. And it's just an ongoing cycle because it's not talked about, because people don't know what to say, because everybody doesn't experience it. It's just less than half of the world, far less than half, a quarter of the world, if you will, less than a quarter of the world that are experiencing infertility. And so they don't know how to relate and to be able to give you that support. So it causes you to retreat because you don't feel safe. You don't feel like it's a safe space for you to be able to open up and express how you're feeling. But that's not an excuse. How can we combat that? Educating ourselves, listening to podcasts like this, listening to people who are experiencing that when they say what they need and how they need to feel supported. Listen to them and then give them that support. Take the extra step to be able to do that. And for us that are experiencing the infertility, being okay with having those hard conversations of what you need to feel supported. I remember having those conversations, and I had to get to a point when people were saying inappropriate things to me, I would say it. And it was hard because I am a number 9 on the Enneagram, and so I'm a non-confrontational person. I don't want no smoke. But when it got to that point, and it was probably because I was on so much medicine and my hormones were crazy, I remember like telling somebody, like, that was really inappropriate what you said. Would you be okay if I told you something like that and you just were bleeding between your, it was not okay. And I don't even remember who I said that to this day. If you remember and I said that to you, I apologize. Hormones were high. They were really high. But I had to tell them, like, that's not okay. I would have appreciated it more if you would have said this, or waiting and having that conversation. Again, those are ways to kind of help us be able to combat that loneliness so that we feel like we have a space to be able to share our feelings. And it's a safe atmosphere. And of course, you're not going to have it with every interaction that you have. Like, I had an inner circle of people to where I could really express how I was feeling. And I was very honest with them and saying, like, look, this is what I need in this moment. And sometimes I don't need advice back. Sometimes I don't need encouragement right away. Just let me get it out. Let me get out what I'm feeling. And I might say some bizarre off the wall stuff that is not true, but just let me get it out. I need to get it out first. So being open and honest and having those conversations with your circle of people can help you push past that loneliness and wanting to retreat and go back into that isolated state. And another reason why we feel lonely along those lines is because friendships, they change, they fade over time. I remember I was so hyper focused on my journey and trying to get pregnant that I wasn't checking in on anybody else. I wasn't answering anybody else's phone calls because a lot of times I was dodging them because I knew they would probably ask me how I was feeling and I didn't feel like talking. It was only certain people that I felt like talking to at that time. And one, because they didn't give me any other option, like my sisters. And two, my sisters, my mom, my mother-in-law, my parents, they didn't give me any other option. But also because I'm like, I don't want to talk about what's going on TV. I just want to lay in the bed and cry. So I couldn't see. I was so hyper-focused on my journey that I could not focus on anything else. And I know that wasn't healthy, but it caused friendships to change. A lot of times I came across mean. I was, like I said, super hormonal and super hyper focused on my situation that I couldn't give any time and effort to anybody else. And so friendships faded. People that didn't understand what was going on. And it was a two-way street. But because of that, friendships faded, which also led to me, feeling more isolated. And so with that being said, there are so many factors that lead to the loneliness, but like I said, it's a two-way street. So we have to do our part to actively try to combat that loneliness that we feel, and having a great support system is part of that. Now, when it comes to feeling the loneliness, I can't tell you to not feel lonely. I can't tell you to not feel sad. I can't tell you to not be emotional. I can't tell you to not be hyper focused on your journey, because those are things that are going to happen inevitably. It's part of the process. It's part of the journey. It's part of what the season that you're walking through right now. So the best thing I can say is to name those feelings and acknowledge them, and find ways to normalize both anger and happiness. Like, there has to be a balance. I'm not going to tell you to not feel angry. I'm not going to tell you to not get mad or upset when you see a pregnancy announcement. I can tell you to not get mad if you pass a pregnant woman in the grocery store shopping in the baby aisle. You're going to feel those feelings. So it's okay to feel left behind. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to grieve the life that you thought you would have by now. We have to normalize both the sadness we feel and celebrating others, even if it feels complicated. And it will feel complicated. It will be hard. I remember, and I don't think she would mind me telling this, because it's our truth. It's what happened. So I remember my sister, this was back in 2018. One of my pregnancies in 2018, not the one that I had where I miscarried in June, but one of the ones later in that year. I think I got pregnant in October. Yeah, it was like September or October. So I got pregnant, and my oldest sister got pregnant we were pregnant around the same time. So excited, because one, I had just had this miscarriage, and then she finds out she's pregnant with her second child. I'm pregnant with my first. I'm like, of course, like, who This is so exciting. Such a gift to be pregnant with my older sister. Like, this is going to be so much fun. So I was so excited. My pregnancy ended in miscarriage. She ended up carrying her baby full term and had my beautiful, beautiful niece in that following year. In 2019. Again, mine ended in miscarriage. And so it was hard for me at first to be happy for my sister because it felt like, that's crazy, just like the theme of this episode, her life was moving on. She was continuing to go to appointments. We were having baby showers. We were celebrating the upcoming birth of her beautiful baby girl. And mine ended months ago in tragedy. And so it was hard for me because that was close proximity. That wasn't some stranger on social media. That wasn't somebody that I just saw in passing at the grocery store. That wasn't somebody that I saw at the doctor's office where we were in there at the same time, got great news, and then she kept going to appointments, but I never had to see her again. That was my sister. That I had to continue to be happy for her because not only is she my sister, but she's having my niece. And so I had to figure out a way where I could, because it wasn't going to be healthy if I fully compartmentalized my grief and my sadness and my anger for my situation and I just celebrated her. I would have went nuts because guess what? Those feelings that I tucked away, they would have came back up and they would have been ugly and it would have caused me to explode in some random situation at some random moment in time. So I had to figure out, but also I couldn't just be mad and angry and upset over my situation and not celebrate my sister. That's my sister. And she's having my niece. What does it look like we taking pictures and stuff and I don't want to be involved? Or she's having baby showers and I don't want to be there. I don't show up. Or she's having all these celebrations and stuff. This was her first girl as well. And we love girls in my family. And so not being there to support her. She probably would have remembered that for the rest of her life, that her sister wasn't there for her. And so I had to figure out a way. And I would never want to do that to her because I wouldn't want that done to me. And I don't want my niece to see, back on pictures. Why wasn't TC there? Why wasn't she there at any of my stuff? Well, baby, she was going through a hard time. Like, no, I want to be there and support her because I know I'm going to need support from her when my time comes. And so I had to figure out a way to be angry, acknowledge my grief, walk through my grief and all the emotions that I had and grieve the loss that I had, but also be able to celebrate my sister, love her, support her, and be there for her. And it was complicated. It was hard. Because guess what? I had never done this before. This I had never done before. My mom, I don't think she ever dealt with that before. I didn't know, I didn't have anybody to talk to figure out how you do that. How's that work? How do I be sad for something that I don't have, something that I lost, and celebrate the person that has the one thing that I want most? And then it's my sister of all people. How do I do that? But we figured it out. With much prayer, what I said last week, much prayer and supplication, I figured it out how to do that. And it was hard. But I tell you one thing, the beautiful thing in it, guess what? While I was grieving, but also supporting and celebrating my sister, guess what? She was, in living in her happiness and her journey, but she was also supporting me. She was also right there with me in the trenches. If I called her crying, her pregnant self was on the phone with me. She was listening to me cry. She was giving me hugs. She was supporting me even through what I was going through. So she was receiving this celebration and the happiness in her journey, but she was still there for me. So that's what I will say to combat that loneliness, that isolation. Y'all, your support system is everything. Find you somebody, even if it's one person, find you somebody. Find you a small group of people. You cannot, let me repeat, please listen to me. Turn me up. You cannot make it through this journey by yourself. And you might say, well, it's just me and the Lord. Yes, it is good to have him on your side, and he is always here, and he's the main person that you need. But let me tell you this right now. Find you somebody. You cannot make it through this journey by yourself. Y'all, you will go nuts. I tried doing it by myself because I didn't want to be a burden to anybody else. That's the unhealthy side of my Enneagram. I didn't want to be a burden to anybody else. I didn't want to be crying to somebody every single day. Every time they called me, I'm in tears. I didn't want them to have to see that. And the people that loved me the most were like, girl, I don't care. Cry to me every day. Talk to me about it every day. Call me multiple times a day if you need to. I don't care. I'm here for you. What can I do to support you? Find you those people. Find you those people. And guess what? If you don't have those people, I'm those people. I'll be that person. I'll be her for you. I would love to be. Because guess what? My DMs are always open. We're launching this online community today. So you'll be able to talk to me there. We need to hop on a Zoom call, a FaceTime call. You need to send me a voice note. I'll be her. I will be that for you. This community will be that for you. It's so important for you to have those people, y'all. I cannot stress that enough. Aside from having that safe community, that safe space, you also need to schedule some check-ins. So schedule some kind of regular check-in with that person, with that group, whether it's a friend, a therapist, a counselor, a support group, whether it's online, in person, somebody that you can share with on a regular basis. Don't let it go months without you talking. Don't let it go weeks without you talking. I remember when I was going through my journey, my sister actually had recommended that I talk to somebody. And so I found a therapist that specialized in infertility, and I started going to talk to her. And it was very helpful because she understood, the background of what I was going on. She was an outside person, wasn't a relative, a loved one, a friend, or anything like that. So completely unbiased, and I just let it out. And that was very helpful for me, while I was on that journey. So find somebody and have those regular check-ins. Also create some kind of personal ritual or self-care routine, something, because you're giving so much of yourself to this journey. It's very easy to lose yourself. I told you guys last week, I was an empty shell at the beginning. I don't even know what I looked like. I probably looked like my soul had left my body, because I was so hyper focused on this journey, and I was just waking up, eating, sleeping this journey. I wasn't eating food. I wasn't sleeping I was a shell. And so finding a way to have some kind of routine where you're caring for yourself, pouring back into yourself, is going to help ground you and help you remember you. Kind of help you snap out of it. Okay, you weren't just meant to, populate the earth. That wasn't your entire purpose in this world. While you do want that very badly, that was not your only purpose. So let's get back to ourselves, remember ourselves, who we are, and the things that we love and like, and try to pour into ourselves so that we have the energy to be able to pour into this journey, withstand this journey, continue to walk on this journey. You can't walk if you're famished. You can't walk if you're crippled and broken down. You're not going to be able to make it. You're not going to be able to withstand the journey. You're not going to be able to keep walking. So any kind of daily grounding practices, so like the affirmations that we do weekly, repeat those to yourself. Write them down. Print out the free affirmation cards. Put it on your mirror. Write it with the expo marker on your mirror. Say those to yourself. Even if it's for a quick 5 minutes in the morning, quick 5 minutes in the middle of the day, quick 5 minutes before you go to bed, while you're brushing your teeth, whatever it is, some kind of grounding moment. Maybe it's journaling. I send a journal prompt in the hope letter. Maybe it's using that, answer that question, or the question that I asked at the beginning of the episode. Something to help you ground yourself, reflect, and just have a moment of quiet for a minute. Or maybe it's even a short walk. I remember I used to go on walks. Just something that will signal that I care for myself. I care for me. And this is for me. This is selfish. It's for me. And I would say while you're going through this journey, acknowledging the meaningful moments and not just rushing through them. I remember I had to do injections at one point in time. And it was just one of those things oh, let's get it over with. I didn't want it to be a thing to where, because it was hard if I was just rushing through it myself, or maybe, medicine that you have to take, or appointments and things like that. So something that my husband and I used to do, he used to give me my injections, and we would kind of talk. He would check in with me and see how I was doing before he gave it to me or after. And that'd be a moment for us to kind of check in with each other. And that was another grounding moment. Before we had appointments, we would do stuff like we would go treat ourselves to lunch or to dinner or something like that. Whether it was good news or not, that was something that we could look forward to while we were going on this journey. So finding different ways to mark those events so you don't feel so much anxiety while going through it. Because those, I used to hate at the end of the night having to do those injections. But having my husband there with me made it that much lighter. I used to get very, very anxious leading up to different doctor's appointments. But if I knew I was getting sushi after, or I was getting my favorite hibachi fried rice after, I was like, okay, this makes this a little bit lighter. I didn't get the news I wanted, but I'm about to go eat some good food. And food is I wish it was included in one of the love languages, because that's definitely mine. So whatever that is, maybe you need to go take a trip to the mall. You deserve a trip to Sephora. Go get you some lip gloss. Go get you some ice cream. Whatever it is that makes you happy, use that as a marker on those dates of anxiety and anxiousness. So anything that brings you anxiety along your journey, try to add in something that brings you happiness so that it lessens that anxiety surrounding that event. Another very important thing is curating your social media. So you might need to completely log out, delete the apps, or mute or unfollow people, pages that are triggering to you. And that's okay, because guess what? They don't ever have to know. You can literally mute or unfollow. You don't have to block them, unless it's somebody that's made you mad. But I'm not saying block everybody. But maybe you just need to take a step back or mute the pages that are triggering to you. I'm telling you, it felt like for a season, every time I opened the app, pregnancy announcement, baby shower, I'm decorating my nursery today, or whatever the case was, and it was triggering to me. So I was like, okay, we're going to log out for a little bit and take a step back. And I would just get on Pinterest if I needed to scroll and look at things, or man, I wish I had TikTok back then, because that would have brought me a lot of joy and laughter for sure. But whatever it is, just you might need to take a step back, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I would suggest replacing that by following some infertility friendly accounts that are going to show support, that are going to speak life into your journey, that are going to offer positivity, that are going to empathize and sympathize with your situation. And it makes it a whole lot easier to interact with those pages and see that information, because guess what? When you subject yourself to those, different posts, like you're internalizing all of that and it's coming into your brain. And so you want to put as much positivity in as you can. And I feel like following more infertility friendly accounts will help you with that process. Or just following a bunch of neutral content, cat videos, funny cat videos, people falling downstairs. Y'all, there's so many different types of videos and accounts and social media pages out there that are so random. Like, I love watching cooking videos. I watch this woman that she makes the yummiest, like, just feel good comfort food, and I watch her do it on TikTok, and it is so comforting. Like, I will just scroll through and watch her page. And then I follow this other girl that she makes all of her like grandmother's dessert recipes. So like pies, cakes, biscuits, syrups, jams, like all this stuff. And she is so funny. And so I just scroll through her page. And I do that now when I just need a break. So while I wish I had that when I was going through my infertility journey, but a lot of people weren't like huge into social media and content right now. But we are in the age of content. So find you some neutral based content, and that will help as well. And set clear boundaries. So this is something that I talked about earlier. When you have somebody that says something that's inappropriate to you, set a clear boundary. You are the biggest protector of yourself. So you have to do that. Again, not everybody means you harm. Not everybody means harm, but it's okay to still set a clear boundary if somebody says something inappropriate to you. So if somebody says something that's inappropriate, or they're prying or asking you questions and you're not ready to answer them today, you can simply say, thank you so much for checking in on me and caring for my situation, but I'm really not in a space where I can talk about it right now. And I feel like people will respect that. And if they can't, then they meant you no good anyways. So it's okay to set those clear boundaries. I know I told you guys about the therapist that I was seeing. So something else that would be good is finding like a peer support group. This is something that I desperately want to do with Hope in June. So with our online community, whether it's something that we can do online, we can meet in person, whatever the case is, finding a support group. Because at the time when I was going through my infertility journey, there weren't any that existed in my community or in the area where I lived. And so I want to create that so desperately. So I would love your guys' feedback on that, what that could look like, whether we're meeting online, whether I'm traveling. I will come to you. I live here in Houston, so I would love to do some here in Houston, but I'm also not opposed to coming to your city and we gathering in a centralized location and having a time to be able to have that support, because there's nothing like one-on-one in-person support, y'all. Nothing like it. And so again, I don't see a lot of that out there, and I would love to create that. But if you do have something like that in your area, tap into it and share it with us, because you never know who in your area is looking for something like that and they don't know it exists. And so it's so important for us to share these resources with each other, because we're all striving for a common goal. We're trying to feel it better and remain encouraged. So the more people we can help, the better, y'all. And we've got to move our bodies. I wanted to waste away and be a vegetable in my bed. I did not want to do anything. And there were many days where I didn't do anything. I just sat and ate ice cream and binge watched TV shows that made me cry. And that's all I did. But it was to a point where my husband was like, you gotta move. You gotta move your body. Let's go. Let's get some sunshine, on your face. Let's go walk around the mall. You love stuff. You love buying stuff. Let's walk around the store. Let's go buy a book. Let's go to the library. Let's go, just move your body. And so something that in high stress times that I love to do is Pilates. Also, I love to read. And so finding ways to not only move your body, but also creative outlets can help. So whether you like to draw, whether you like music, gardening, reading, anything like that, to where you could pour your time and efforts into those creative outlets, while also moving your body and accessing a different part of your brain to where you don't really have to think about that trauma, is also a great way to combat that isolation and that loneliness feeling. And give yourself grace, y'all. Find ways to find purpose outside of this process. So whether you learn a new skill, you want to go volunteer somewhere, or plan a day trip, like I said, just go eat at your favorite restaurant. Go say, I'm going to go take an art class today, or I'm going to go take a candle making class. Whatever the case is, remind yourself that life is bigger than this season that you're going in. This season is only a moment in time. And so even if you do things that not distract you, but where you're pouring your efforts and your mind is shifting to that, you're not forgetting about your journey. You're not forgetting about wanting to get pregnant and to have a child. And that was something that I struggled with, because I felt like if I gave my attention to anything else, I felt guilty, like, oh, I'm leaving behind, wanting to have a baby. Like I feel guilty for focusing on anything else, because my future children need me, and that's me giving up if I focus on anything else. That's not true. That's so not true. And so it's, if anything, finding other ways to remind yourself that life exists outside of this season is helping you to be able to continue. That's a way of pouring into yourself. That's a way of hydrating yourself so that you're able to keep walking and keep going on this journey, because it is not a sprint. A lot of times for many of us, it is a marathon. For many, my Lord, it is a triathlon. For many people, it is a Spartan race. And so in order to be able to keep going, you have to pour into yourself. You have to find ways to remind yourself that life exists outside of this season, that there are other things going on and other ways that I can pour into myself outside of just being so hyper focused on this current season. Because when you're in the season and you're so hyper focused on it, you will feel like nothing else exists outside of it. Like nothing else has happened. Everything is happening wrong here. So life sucks. Like nothing is going on right in my life. But that's not true. While, my body might not be doing what I needed to do in this season, guess what? I went an hour without breaking down and crying. I went in the mall today, passed by Children's Place, and I didn't shed a tear. That is a small win that is worth celebrating. I walked past children that were playing with their mother, their pregnant mother, and guess what? I didn't lose my mind. I didn't lose it today. I got up out of bed this morning and I had a positive attitude. I said my affirmations, and although I did cry while I was saying them, I said them. That's a small win, and that's worth celebrating. So recognize your progress in all areas. We have to get outside of what this season is. This season exists, it is real, but there is also life outside of it. And so we have to take a step back and realize, okay, there are still other things happening. There's still progress being made, and I'm making that progress, and I should be proud of myself for that. And I need to acknowledge myself for that. I need to celebrate myself for that. While things aren't going great here, but other things good are happening, and acknowledge that. That will help you so much in the long run. Now, while I'm giving you this long list of things to help with the loneliness that you are experiencing or you may be experiencing, none of these are to solve the loneliness. The loneliness feeling is still going to come up. You're still going to feel it. It's still emotion, and that is going to happen. But they are gentle choices that can help you feel supported and anchored while you're in that waiting season. So it's not going to make them go away, but it can help you to feel anchored while you're in that waiting season. Okay? I love you. I want to know which one you decide to try, which one you feel is working for you, which one that you haven't tried before, but you're interested in trying. And I'm going to do my part to help you all by creating those support groups, creating those events and things like that, to where we can gather together, because I know having people with you in your corner that understand what you're going through and walking through, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and having that is so important. So I'm going to do my part to create that for you guys. If you can do me a favor and try out one of these this week. Try out one to combat that loneliness, because I don't want you to feel isolated. That's the last thing I want. And I know how easy it is to retreat, because I did it. I was the biggest compartmentalizer. I would always compartmentalize my feelings because I didn't want to be a burden on anybody else. So I would rather be lonely and isolated than have to pour on my feelings to anybody else. And I don't want you to do that. Okay, today's segment is called A Letter to My TTC Self. So for those of you that do not know what TTC means, it is an acronym we use in the infertility community. And it just simply means trying to conceive. So this is a letter that I wrote to my trying to conceive self. If I were thinking about my past self when I was going through that time, and how I would encourage her if she started feeling lonely or was experiencing loneliness. So here is my letter. Dear me, you'll feel like you're the only one left standing, but your story is still unfolding. This space won't last forever, and even here, you are not forgotten. I know how heavy it is to watch the people around you build families, announce pregnancies, and move forward while you remain in waiting. You'll scroll through photos and wonder if anyone remembers you, if anyone notices the ache that lives in your quiet corners of your heart. You'll question your worth, your body, even your faith. It will feel endless. But I need you to know this. You are not broken. You are not behind. This pause is not a punishment. Life is still breathing around you and within you, even when it looks nothing like you dreamed. One day, you'll look back and see how this season shaped a tenderness and strength like you never imagined. You will find friendships in unexpected places, and you will learn to care for yourself in ways that have nothing to do with a timeline. Hold on to the tiny glimmers, the morning light through the window, the sound of laughter with someone who truly gets it, the quiet moments when you realize you are still whole. Your path is still alive with possibility. You are loved, you are seen, and you are not alone. Love always, me. Hope that letter can help someone today. I wish I would have had this while I was going through my journey, just to have as a reminder. But I remember I used to save text messages or voice notes or voicemails that my mom, my sisters, my mother-in-law would send to me, my husband, and I would play them on days where I needed something because I was spiraling out of control. And so having something like this would have been very beneficial to me. So I want you to replay this. If you're having a day where you're struggling, replay this letter and play it to yourself if you need that reminder. I'm going to post this letter in our online community, so that way it's somewhere saved, and you can also read it. You can read it to yourself. You can write it out on your own paper, put it somewhere. for the days that are tough, the days where you need a reminder that you are not broken. Your worth is not tied to a timeline. When you need that reminder, I want you to pull this out. Okay. And then our last segment of the day is a little prompt. So we talked about journaling and how that can be a grounding moment for us when we're combating loneliness and just finding a way to ground ourselves and pour back into ourselves and care for ourselves. So here's a prompt that you can use to journal this week. And the question is, where do I feel the most alone in this season? And what would it look like to bring that into the light? Even just with myself. So I want you to take that prompt and I want you to write it in your journal and I want you to answer it and really reflect on that question. And don't be afraid to be honest and real and how you're feeling. And it might not be pretty. It might not be nice. This journey ain't pretty and nice. But I want you to be honest, because the best thing we can do for ourselves is be honest, to name those feelings and to get them out. Do not leave that stuff in, y'all. Get it out. And one of the best places to get it out is on paper. Write it out. Write it down. And that is it for episode 2. Thank you guys so much for spending today with me. We have so many exciting announcements for Hope in June. Okay, so officially today, if you are listening to this episode, then the online community, the Hope in June online community, is officially open. Yay! I'm so excited for this community, y'all. So this is an online community and it on Patreon. Okay, we are going to be on Patreon. In that community, I have already have it open and it is ready to go. So you will find the link either in the show notes or in the description box, whichever place where you're listening. It will also be in the link in our bio on our social media pages. And if you were subscribed to the Hope Letter, then you got early access. So it is so important, y'all. I'm telling you, if you have not already, subscribe to the Hope Letter, because I'm always dropping exclusive early access to things, possibly some discount codes, different things like that. The first people that will get access to early information is going to be the Hope Letter. Well, now it will be the online community, but also the Hope Letter. So make sure that you are subscribed there. But the online community is now available, so you can go to the link. Visit the Patreon page. There are different tiers that are set up. So we have a free membership as well as other paid memberships. And then you will see within each tier all the different exclusive content that is coming. And I'm so excited. So for this online community, y'all. Okay, so not only are we going to have like posts within the community to where you can actually like interact and talk, there's going to be polls, there's going to be discussion questions and things where we can talk to each other, because I know a lot of times on social media, like I might post something and ask a question. You might not want to answer it because you are afraid that maybe somebody else will see it. You don't know how they'll take it. You're a fear of judgment, whatever the case is, or maybe you don't really want people knowing that you're on this journey, that you're struggling with infertility, and you don't want people in your business, and that's fine. That's what this community is for. So it's closed to just us, and for those discussions that we're having, that is for our community, our members. Everybody cannot access that. So you can feel this is your safe space. So what we were talking about earlier, having a safe space, this is that, okay? And so we will be able to have in-depth discussions about different topics. I want to hear feedback from you all personally when it comes to resources that you feel like you need. I don't want to just be creating stuff and it's not beneficial to you. I want to hear from y'all. What do you need me for? What do you need me to make? What do you need me to create? And so I can create these different resources, courses, videos, mini series, things like that for you guys exclusively for this community. So it won't be available to the public. Everything won't be available to everybody. A lot of these things are strict for this community, and I'm so excited about it. Aside from resources, polls, affirmations, journal prompts, things like that, and other resources, you'll also get early access, any kind of merch or other products, events, tickets, live events, in-person events, things like that. You guys will also get a discount, a specialized discount code. I'm trying to think of else. Behind the scenes content. So let me show y'all my camera. Hold on, let me show you my camera. Okay, so today's episode, I'm actually recording on my phone because I'm waiting on a memory card to come in the mail for this. But y'all, I just got this camera. let me show you this camera. So this will be part of like what you would see on the behind the scenes content, and just all things Hope in June, behind the scenes, what it takes to keep this community going. Some sneak peeks of in my life, like I'm going to Florida this weekend to the beach with my family, and so I plan to take my camera and vlog. So you'll get to see that kind of stuff, and any other things that you want to see, I want to hear from you, and you can tell me in the community, and I'll be dropping those vlogs, those videos, that content within our community. So they won't be posted for everybody on YouTube. They won't be posted for everybody on social media. It's going straight into the feed in our online community, and that is the only place it will be. And it makes me so excited. But let me show y'all my camera. So I got this camera, y'all. Everybody was saying that to not buy your cameras new, okay? They say you can find them used, and you can find really good quality ones used. And so it was giving me anxiety to go around to all these different pawn shops, because if you know, living in a big city, I live in Houston, there are 1,000, and I went to 2 and I was already overwhelmed because they're like, no, we don't have the camera you're looking for. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere else. So I went on Facebook Market, but you gotta be careful on Facebook Market because you can get scammed. Never buy from somebody. Look, piece of advice: when you go to Facebook Market and you want to buy something, scroll down and look at the seller, and if they created their page in the year that it is, so if they created their page in 2025, if it says they've been a member of Facebook since 2025, it's a scam. Okay, they created that page to try to scam somebody, and then they delete it and then create another page. Don't do that. So look to see how long they've been on Facebook. That's a key. Okay, that's a tip for when you want to buy off Facebook Market. So I found a couple cameras, messaged a couple people, heard back from 2, and I decided with this one. And I'm so excited. And the girl was so sweet that I bought it from. She was a photographer, and she also used to create, I think she said music videos. And this camera came straight from Japan. I did not know that Canon and Nikon were Japanese made products. And so she got this straight from the Canon store in Japan. And I'm so excited. It is the EOS M6 for all of my techies out there. That's what this camera is. And I really wanted one that had the viewfinder, because when I'm vlogging, I need to be able to see myself. And so that's why I got this. It came with the kit lens. I'll probably end up getting another lens for it, because eventually I will no longer record on my phone and I'll be recording with this. But she gave me all these other goodies too, like a flash, an external flash, extra batteries, and stuff like that. So I'm taking this to Florida with me this weekend when we go to the beach, and I will be vlogging our family vacation. And that's part of the behind the scenes content that you guys will get. And so I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to do that for you guys, just because I feel like that's like a breather. So remember that neutral based content that we were talking about, that you can just like free your mind, relax your mind, that you can come do that with me monthly, okay? I'm going to be releasing those videos in our community monthly. And so you can just watch them. If you just need to check out, you can watch me laugh and be goofy on the beach, see what I'm eating for dinner, see me cook dinner, whatever the case is. Little peeks of my life, just to have some low mind-boggling content, some neutral-based content for you to be able to watch, okay? And I want to do a monthly live broadcast, a live webinar, live stream, if you will, to where we can come together. You guys can ask me questions. So it'll be a live monthly Q&A session, and we'll get on a live stream together. You'll be able to drop questions in the comments. We'll be able to interact with each other. You guys can talk to each other in the comments, and just a way for us to have a lighthearted moment to where we can talk. I can answer some questions from you all. Just have a good time every month. So I'm excited. And aside from that, y'all, I told you I want to do in-person events next year. I want to do some in-person events, whether it's here in Houston. First couple will probably be in Houston, or if I'm coming to you, I'm not opposed to that. I got family all over, okay? So I'm familiar. I've been to a lot of places. I'm familiar with a lot of places. And so I want to come and do some in-person events. And so that feedback, I'm going to be relying on our Patreon community, our online community, to get that feedback from y'all, from what you would like, what you would like to see. I see all the time where people do live shows for their podcast. So I want to do, I don't know if it'll be something like that or something more small and intimate, but I want to hear from you guys, and I want to do that. And of course, being a part of the online community, you will get first access because it will only be a limited amount of tickets. So you'll get priority access as well as a discount and things like that. And you'll get to weigh in on what it is that you want to see at these in-person events. What kind of things do you want? Yeah. I think that's it. So you can go now into the Patreon community. You can see all the different tiers, all the different content and exclusive things that come with each tier. And I'm so excited about this. Again, I love you guys so much. I was crying all day last Tuesday from the love and support that I received. And it was so overwhelming. And it was so nice to see because it's crazy. I didn't receive the best news at work that same day, but it was so kind of God to have my podcast release on that day, knowing I was going to get that not so great news, but for me to have this podcast launch and receive an outpour of love and support from you guys and confirmation that this is supposed to happen and for me to keep going. No matter what the numbers look like, no matter what the interactions, the engagement, none of that looks like. I'm supposed to be doing this. This is supposed to happen, and I need to keep going. And so y'all gave me that reassurance. Y'all gave me that confirmation, and I'm so excited. And I cannot wait for the day when I'm able to fully pour into this full time. But until then, I'm here. I love y'all. And I'm excited to see where we go, where we grow. So many things ahead. I had like two ideas just last night of things that I wanted to do within Hope in June. And so I'm so excited, and it's going to be so many great things to come. And I love y'all. I love y'all so much. So if this episode resonated with you, then please share it with a friend and subscribe or follow us on your favorite podcast app as well as here on YouTube. And please join us on TikTok and Instagram at Hope in June Community for more gentle encouragement between episodes. Until next time, remember, you are not falling behind, even if it feels that way. Your story isn't on pause. It is still simply unfolding. Take a deep breath, carry a little light with you, and I will meet you back here next week. Bye, you guys.